Welcome to the Unscripted Authentic Leadership Podcast, a podcast we are seeking to lead change while also seeking to understand. We are also here to provide a platform for leaders to come together, to unite, to develop and empower other leaders in the areas of faith, family, business, and community. I'm your host, Lafayette Lane, joined by my co-host, John LeBron, and we are here to bring you another fire episode talking about get out of that funk. This month, we are going to deal with the mental aspects of leadership. We had a super amazing conversation last week about how God does not call the qualified, but he qualifies the call. It was a well-received episode. Many people really enjoyed that. And this month, we're really going to open up a topic and be transparent, have vulnerability, talking about the mental aspects of leadership. Before we get into the topic any further, we definitely want to say thank you to all of our supporters, those of you there on the YouTube channel, there to have subscribed to our YouTube channel, Unscripted Authentic Leadership. Those of you that are part of our social media platforms, there on Facebook, Unscripted Authentic Leadership. You're part of our Instagram family handle. There is at Unscripted Leadership. Or you're part of our LinkedIn. You're there at Unscripted Authentic Leadership. And there are those of you that may not watch the podcast on YouTube or watch the premiere on Facebook, but you are part of our listening audience. You stream us on those various streaming platforms, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify Podcasts to Google Podcasts, iHeart, Stitcher, and various other platforms. Wherever podcasts are streamed and provided, you can find our podcast there, Unscripted Authentic Leadership. And we would love for you to connect with us and engage with us. Even if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, you can connect with us there on our website, unscripted-leadership.com. That's unscripted-leadership.com. Oh man, I'm excited about the topic today. Get out of that funk. A lot of times we talk about leadership, bro. We talk about leadership from various aspects and from various viewpoints and platforms. Sometimes we look at it from such a bird's eye view that we only look at leadership from the physical qualities. We always look at the physical attributes of leadership from not just the presence of a leader, but how a leader speaks to those that they are leading, how a speaker or how a leader leads the group of people that he or she is leading. But we don't deal with the intrinsic values of a leader. We don't deal with the internalness of a leader. And when we talk about internal, it talks about from the head down. And so literally we want to get inside of the leader today and for the rest of the month of May, talking about what's going on in your head. You know, what's going on in your mental space? What's going on there behind the scenes, not just behind closed doors, but when you're by yourself and when your thoughts are there and your thoughts are your audience. You know, you've left the co-workers, you've left work for the day, you've left the organization for the week, and now it's just you and your thoughts. It's just you and your mental space, and you're there. You're musing over what's going on through the week. You're musing over how you can be better. You're musing over what direction you want the organization to go in. If you need to pivot, or if you need to increase in a certain area or decrease. If we need to start, stop. If we need to transition. But how do you deal with the mental wellness of you as your leader yourself? Because so many times as leaders, and our responsibility is to lead other people, sometimes we forget that we cannot effectively lead other people if we ourselves are not whole. And it's a part of being that holistic leader starts with making sure our mental wellness and health, our overall well-being is in place and is in a place of balance, that we're not finding ourselves outside of a level of equilibrium and a balance in a place where we're not getting too heavy of giving ourselves away to someone else, but yet ourselves we've left empty. And so, bro, I just want to get in that conversation. I have some principles I want to get into a little later, but I really just want to have a candid conversation today, as always, bro. Where are you at in your mental space? Because, man, let's be honest, it's been rough, man. It's been rough. I feel like we're coming out on the better side of the mountain. of all the things over the past year and a half that have gone on that have affected our mental space, bro. Just where are you at mentally, bro? How do you deal with being a leader and making sure that you balance that mental wellness in your life?
Yeah, so it's not easy, especially this past even several years because
Mm,
okay, so yes, we had the COVID issue, which really puts people where they shouldn't be, and that's by themselves for a
right.
consistent amount of time. Especially if you live in a larger city where maybe you don't have the parks and stuff that I have, or I have a neighborhood with everybody has a wide open yard and we can go over to each other's houses. But when you live in a more densely populated area, that might not be as much of an option. But as people are by themselves, they show that the depression numbers continue to spike up over times like this. And so it's really, really important, guys, that we all take that time to mentally lead ourselves. We have to take purposeful time to read things that are good for you, read things that'll help yourself, kind of like food for the soul. That's why we read books so often. That's why I listen to podcasts that are positive so often. You have to take actually just catalog what are the things that you're allowing into your mind right now, because and we'll get into this in a little bit, but everybody wants to get your attention, and so you need to be very aware of who has your attention and are you controlling your own thoughts. And the best way to do that is to one, be mindful of what you're allowing into your brain, and then two, allow what you're allowing into your brain. Oh, and I literally just lost my thought. The allowing what you're allowing into your brain, and then also who you're associating with. So it's basically who's putting stuff in here and what are you putting in yourself. That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah,
Um,
you're good, man.
and so personally, I try to keep a habit. So every day I read a book, not the whole book, but so much time. I set goals for myself. So I'll say I want to read this book in the next 2 weeks or the next month, depending on how big it is. But I also set standards. So the goal is to finish this large book this month. Okay. But the standard is I have to read at least one page every day. That's me personally. Now, if I read one page, can I get it completed? No, there's no way. But there's definitely days where I am exhausted at the end of the day, but I can do one page, right? You can always do one page, and it keeps the consistency of reading. It's really easy to get into habits, and it's really easy to get out of the habits. Once you're in the habit, it's a lot easier to keep it going, and once you get out of it, sometimes it can be difficult to get back into it initially. It's like working out. Once you get into the habit of working out, you're good. But once you get out of the habit, you're like, I gotta get back to it. I just gotta get myself motivated.
Yeah.
On that same stance, so like for example, personally, I felt my energy level declining over the last quarter because I've completely neglected a lot of the health stuff. So just, too much pizza and not enough activity. So my wife and I literally starting this week coming up, actually, we've changed it all up, fix how our food, our diet is, and, planned activity days as far as like working out and stuff and doing some of that together. That also help you just release some of that stress, get your energy up. Isn't it funny how when we spend less energy as far as physical energy, our mental energy goes down?
Ooh,
You know what I mean? And so I love to run till late, not like literally run, but I love to do stuff till late at night. I love to keep going. I love to work on projects for long periods of time. But if I don't stay active and take care of myself, my body, my brain gets foggy, and then I can't do the things I love, and then therefore then I'm a little bit more frustrated. It's like a domino. So yeah, take care of your body, take care of your mind.
that was good. I never heard anyone talk about mental energy before. I think we need to dig into that a little further, bro, and unpack what that really means. Um, some of us are drained mentally.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about mental energy, and I love how you said that. You talk about the workout thing. Same here, bro. For the past couple of weeks, I've been getting up before I go to work 6 a.m. hitting the gym. I've had a membership, paying for it every month, and just let it go dormant. And I found myself that throughout the day, my wife is like, "Bro, you just seem more active." And my thoughts are clearer, and I find myself at ease. I don't feel as sluggish. And as a leader, that's so important that, I think that every time we try to strengthen ourselves as a leader, we feel like we have to do things that are exactly correlated to what we do. So if we are a business owner, we feel like we have to, in order to strengthen ourselves, we have to read a business book, or we have to do something that's business related. When all actuality, if you do something outside of what you do on a day-to-day basis, it'll still have a direct correlation to what you're trying to accomplish in your business aspirations as a leader. And so we're talking about working out. Neither one of us are athletes. Neither one of us are trying to win the Olympics. But I promise you that has tied directly to me as a leader and how I effectively lead my family, because I have more energy. How I lead myself at work, and even my thought process and my problem solving is more because of just working out, and not just physically, but mentally. You talked about that mental energy, man. I just think that is so good. Exercising our brains, exercising our thought processes, because in all reality, leadership all starts in the mind. Everything that we do as human beings start in the mind. And so if our mind is not where it's supposed to be, on par, then everything else that we do will be out of whack. And I love how you talked about, over the past year, we know about the pandemic. But as you said, one of the things about that is that it has put us in a place of isolation. And, for some of us, we use that as a good thing, because it gave us time to have self-reflection, which is good for our mental health. It gave us time to be intrinsic and to look inwardly, to be reflective, to ponder, hey, when I come out of this isolation moment, I'm no longer going to do this. Or when I come out of this isolation moment, I'm going to start doing this again, or I'm going to start to be more creative again. And a lot of times, because of the situation that we've been in, it's put us in what we call a funk. This is the topic of our conversation, is get out of that funk. Because a lot of times, it's easy to see someone that's in depression or see someone that's down. But what are some things that we can do to get out of it? And I think it's so important, or rather, I know that it's so important, because as leaders, again, the simple definition of a leader is that you are leading other people. And so if the people that you are leading see that you are in a place of loneliness, that you are in a place of depression, then it's going to have a downward spiral to the people that are underneath of you. And some of us are wondering why our culture, why our organization, why the places that we have been called to lead are in kind of a dark place, if I can say it that way, are in a place of stagnation, a place of we've never been here before. What happened? It seemed like we were doing so well and we took some steps back. It's because it all started at the top. And as we said, I think last week, I talked about, as leaders, it's okay to bleed. It's okay to talk, but you have to talk up, right? You cannot talk down. And I think I saw that from one of the guests that we had, Blush Leadership. She had posted on her social media. She said that you vent up, don't vent down, and don't vent out. And I was like, wow, it was just confirmation, because we literally had just talked about that on this past Sunday's episode. And so it's so important. Yeah, like it's so important for us as we talk about this mental aspect that, bro, we just have to be honest, especially as men. And let me say this as a black man, because trauma in our culture, we're quick to say what goes on in this house stays in this house, right? And we think that by us saying that, somehow we are protecting the issues that we go through, when all actuality, you're just normalizing trauma, and you're normalizing a place that we call a funk, or a place of darkness, or a place of depression that is affecting every aspect of your life. Like, how many of us as leaders, just think about this, whether you're a stay-at-home mother, that, hey, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my kids are driving me crazy. I'm in a funk, and it's okay. But the first step to helping yourself get out of that is that you have to be honest, right? And we've come to this place, especially if we talked about it, countless times on the podcast, especially on social media, where we have to feel like we have to put up a facade, right? Everybody has to. We when we take a picture, what do? We adjust it and we put on a filter, right? And so now as leaders, we feel like we have to have that same mantra, when all actuality, that some of us are in a place to where we need to get out of that funk. And the first step to doing that, here's the application for those of you that will watch and listen to this. You have to be honest. You have to have a conversation. Now, you all that will watch and listen to this, you all get to glean from us, because this conversation will be viewed all across the world, literally. And so you have the privilege of having a conversation behind closed doors, and that's okay. Sometimes you have to put yourself out there to get help. And we want you all to know that if you're struggling, we may not have all the answers. I'm not a licensed therapist, neither is John. We're just two normal guys doing an extraordinary work, right? And so we're here to have an honest conversation to tell you that just because you're in a place called a funk, or you're in a place of regression, you're a place of darkness, you're in a place of, here it is, the word that we don't really like to say, of depression, that's okay, because you don't have to stay there. You can get out of that place, right? And so some of the things that we can do as leaders to do that is that we recognize that there are mental aspects of leadership. And there are 3 mental qualities of great leaders that I want to get into, and it's called MSC leadership. MSC leadership. It's mindfulness, that's the M, selflessness, that's the S, and compassion. Mindfulness, selflessness, and compassion. And so those of you that are leading people, that either you yourself are in a funk, or you're leading some people that you see that no matter what what it is, it could be a loss of a loved one. It could be a loss of a pet. It could be they're just having a bad day. Things are not going right. We're going to give you some principles that you can take back with you, not just in the organizations that you lead, but we're going to give you some life principles today that you can take back that will improve your mental health and improve your mental quality as a leader. And so let's deal with that first one, bro, mindfulness. And I want to get your feedback on this. The difference between being focused and distracted, or being aware or on autopilot, right? And so we talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness is about managing our attention and turning, when we manage our attention, we can manage our thoughts. And so when we talk about mindfulness, it enables us to respond to our circumstances instead of reacting. And so the 2 key qualities of mindfulness are focus and awareness, right? And so we have to come to a place to where we are mentally agile and also effective. And so we can be focused instead of distracted, and we can be aware instead of being on autopilot. Because we can get to a place as leaders and just as human beings in general that we are living life on autopilot. Right? Like literally, it's just a routine. Mm-hmm. We don't have any creativity. We don't have anything outside of the mundane of what we do from a day to day. It's just on autopilot. And here it is, like, we don't even know it. We're just doing it, and we're just existing instead of living. Right? And so we go to work, we get up, we set our alarm clocks for 7:30. We get up, we brush our teeth, we get out the bed, we take a shower, get our clothes on, drive to work, get our coffee, do our work, come home, spend some time with the kids, eat dinner, go to bed, and do the same thing over and over and over and over again, not realizing it goes back to what John said. That is mentally draining you, where you have no more mental energy because you're living life on autopilot. And so you're existing instead of living. And also you've lost your focus. You're distracted. Right. And so you're focused on the distractions instead of being focused on your purpose. You're not living a purpose driven life. You're living your life by distractions and the things that are going on. So it's caused you to lose your mindfulness in your life. So instead of managing your attention on being a better father, being a better mother, being a better coach, you're just going around from day to day, almost as you're a zombie. And so it's mentally draining you. Bro, talk to us, man, about what do you think about this whole mindfulness piece about being focused and distracted and aware and being on autopilot? What does that mean to you?
So mindfulness goes back to what we talked about in the beginning, and that's the ability to manage your own thoughts. The world is literally in a battle for your mind and your attention. I can't think of a time there's ever been where our attention has been so sought after as much as it is today. I mean, the social media tech companies literally have psychologists that are on staff to teach them how our mind works and how to best develop their apps and their platforms to be the most addictive to us and how to make us engage the most. These are hired professionals, and that's all their job is to do, is to make you addicted to their network, to their app, to whatever software that they're developing. So when they come out with their next update, you can be darn sure that that's gone through a process of how is this going to make them engage in our environment the most. So remember that. Like I was thinking about this earlier today. I thought some of us are just as bad as like my dog, right? There's certain things you do with the dog and it always reacts a certain way. Well, we do the same thing. And I know we talk about phones all the time, but that's the most connected thing we have to us. And that's our cell phone. How often does it ding and then we go check it and then we'll put it down and then it'll ding again for a notification. We'll go back and check it. Right. Uh, our energy seems like it's always geared towards our social media presence, getting likes, getting followers, all those things. People literally go on trips just to take Instagram photos and put it on their social media app. I mean, come on. They go on a trip to enjoy it with people, like the ones that actually care about you. Just understand, your followers don't really care about you. I'm sure they like you. I'm sure they appreciate you. I'm sure if you do add value, that they appreciate that. But there's no way they love you as much as your kids, as much as your wife or husband or family, or even your pets in your house, to be quite honest, because those are the people that are always around you, that they're with you when you're in a good mood, when you're not in an Instagram mood, and so forth. So examples for me, what we do in my house, my phone notifications are almost all turned off. I don't even get notified if I have an email. So there's very few things that notify me. I'll get notified on if I get notified on a new app, it's because I haven't turned it off yet. But for the most part, everything is turned off. There's a very few things that will notify me outside of a text message or a phone call. So I don't even get, like as I said, email notifications. That's for me. Mainly because I got so tired of just reacting to my phone all the time. And I knew, for me, being someone who wants to be in my world the most productive as I could possibly ever be, to me that means, oh, an email came in, respond immediately, so I'm always on top of it. But it was driving me crazy. And I think it was probably driving my wife crazy too. She didn't say that because she's amazing, but I could sense it. Also, one thing we have at home, and we've actually kind of being transparent, gotten off of this a little bit. I think we're getting ready to put that back into play. Is have a phone station. We have a phone station right by my front door. I have a spot where our keys go. I put my wallet there, so you're not looking around for everything. John Maxwell says you spend too much time looking for things you've lost. And so there's things we do, like put your keys right at the door. How many of y'all are looking for your keys all the time? So it's a habit. But it also has a slot for our cell phones. And we can put our phone up there and leave it there. Can I hear it when it rings? Yes. Can I hear it when someone texts me? Sometimes not. But that keeps that away from me and puts my attention with my wife and my kids and reading or anything that's more important. The third thing that we do is we have quiet time. Like, you can meditate, just collect your own thoughts. A lot of people say, I don't meditate, I'm not spiritual. It's not about that. It's just about taking time out to just have your own thoughts instead of somebody else's thoughts. And the other thing you would ask about is getting off of autopilot. That's really hard to do because most of us work a career and you go in at the same time every day, right? And if you hate it, there's a good chance that you're just not feeling fulfilled in your purpose. I highly recommend you read the book called The Energy Bus. It'll help you understand, is it my career that is draining me, or is it me that has the bad attitude in what I'm doing and I forget? So read the book The Energy Bus first, but second, change your routine up. I have two ways to get to out of my neighborhood. I have to go to work, my office, my company office, the same direction for the most part, but I can go out of my driveway left, go out right. I switch it up all the time. I don't park in the same spot every day. You'd be amazed when I pull into the parking lot how I know exactly which cars are in what exact spot. And nobody takes each other's, they probably get mad if I take their spot. But switch it up. Go to somewhere different. Go in a different door. Go to lunch at a different time. Go to eat something different, different food. Go have lunch with somebody else or a new associate. Get some life brought back into you. That's the things I do to get out of autopilot. Just some simple things. Just changing up small routines really helps me.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I think it sounds simple, but a lot of us will struggle getting out of our routine, bro. And what you just said sounded so simple. But as you said, even down to the parking thing, because I park the same way. I always back up, same parking spot, same time for work, bro. I mean, every day.
My dad's the CEO of our company, and he parks in the same spot. So literally, I will go take his parking spot sometimes.
I love it.
I said, and he'll walk in, and he kind of smirks at me. I'm like, time to switch it up.
Yeah.
But he's just a very habitual person. He likes to do the same things, eat the same places, those kinds of things. So yeah, and for me and him, it's like a joke, but yeah.
Yeah, but what you're doing though is a selfless move. And that's what we have to really evaluate our circles, reevaluate the people around us, because we need people in our lives that will take our life parking spot that will force us to park somewhere else. I'm using that as a example or a proverb, if you would say, that I'm not just talking about a literal parking spot. I'm talking about your routine that you do every day. You need somebody, because we all have seasons where we can't get ourselves out of the spot, and we need somebody else to park there for us. So it will force us to move to a different position. Bro, you just said it. You just unlocked a whole nother principle, that today you need to evaluate who are the people in your life that will be bold enough to park in your parking space, that will force you to get out of your comfort zone, to get out of that place, to force you that you've got to take another door. You've got to take another detour. Sometimes we're forced. I was on my way to work this week, and the street that we live on, they were doing construction. I think they were fixing some pothole or something, and it forced me. I had to pull out my Google Maps. I don't know. I live in a whole different area, bro. So I'm just now getting down the normal, way to work. And so it forced me, and here it is. There was a little frustration, because I'm like, y'all gonna make, I've got to get there. I'm in my routine because I'm on autopilot. And it's okay. Sometimes we need some construction. We need somebody that will park in our parking space, that will force us to get into another space, that will cause us to see things from a different perspective. Because every day that you go into the same spot, you will see the same thing, right? You'll see the same thing in life. You'll see the same perspective. You'll have the same opinions. And some of us have been on the earth for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And the reason why we see life the way we see life is because we've been parking in the same spot our entire life. We refuse to see things from another perspective because we refuse to move. Mm-hmm. We refuse to park somewhere else. We refuse to I back up and park because I have a backup camera. I told my wife, I don't know, if I can ever purchase another car that doesn't have a rear view camera, because I don't know how to even reverse park now without the camera, bro. It's ridiculous. Is that lazy of me when you think of some aspect, how spoiled we are?
How have we survived as a species without that?
How did I survive? Bro, did you not forget? What? So we have to get to a place, man, that is on me, bro, what you just said about the whole parking space, to where this week, those of you that will listen and watch this, you need to do things differently. Just try it out. I'm not a person that likes to try new foods. My wife will tell you that. I don't like leftovers. I like things the way that I like them. But sometimes, as John said, my wife will cook something for dinner that she knows that is not something that's my acquired taste, but she forces me. And you know what? Sometimes I say, that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But because, so you need somebody that will put you in that position, that will get you out of that place to where, hey, man, you need to move from your spot. You need to hang out with somebody. And I love how you said also about going to lunch with someone else. We do it in church. Those of you that have been in church, and the pastor will say, go and shake hands and greet 5 people that you haven't, seen or heard before. The first 5 people you go to are the people that either you came to church with or the people that you talk to every week. And the pastor said, go to 5 people and greet them, somebody that you don't know. Immediately, we run to the same group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's our familiarity that's killing us. And our familiarity is the reason why some of us have these mental low places in our areas of leadership. Well, because I'm black, I can't go to lunch with a whole group of white guys. They may think of me that I'm weird. Me and John have, and those of you that will watch this podcast, every time that we have a guest come on our podcast, one of the first things they say is, they try to skirt around the question, how did you guys come together? And what they really are trying to say is, we're not familiar seeing a black guy and a white guy come together and talk, because they're used to parking in the same parking spot. So they have that perspective, right? That there's no way in the world, you guys can be friends, but there's no way that you can come together on a weekly basis and have real conversations. Why not? That's
As
because
a partnership.
a partnership, right?
Partnership that they're like, how did that happen? And I think they mean
Yeah.
as a compliment, but they're like, whoa, what just happened here?
Oh my God.
And we know it happens all the time and we laugh about it, but
absolutely. Oh man, bro, we got to get to these other 2 principles, but you just said something else. The partnership, it's the partnership that when you start parking in another parking spot, you'll realize that I can partner with people that don't necessarily think like me, that don't necessarily move like me. And the difference between, a partner is somebody that works with you. It's not somebody that works for you. Too many of us want somebody that can be our employee. An employee works for you. They don't work with you. I don't work for John, and John doesn't work for me. We're partners. I work with John, and John works with me. I don't work for him. He doesn't work for me. We're partners. And so a partner will help you, as just John said, that will help you navigate yourself in these mental aspects of leadership. And a real partner will be selfless and not selfish. Right. And so that's the second part of that MSC leadership. We talked about the mindfulness, but the second part is the selflessness. Selflessness can be described as the wisdom of getting out of your own way, getting out of the way of your people, and also getting out of the way of your organization to unleash the natural flow of energy that people bring to work or people bring to life. And so when we are selfless, we talked about that last week, getting out of your way and stepping into it. We talked about it last week. And so when we have these low places in our mental leadership, in these mental down spots that we have, think about how selfless you're being, right? And your level of selflessness will help you strengthen your mental aspects in your leadership. Because what selflessness does, it combines strong self-confidence with a humble intention to be of service. So it's hard for me to stay in a place of a funk when I know that people are counting on me to serve them. It's hard for me to stay in a place of lowliness or darkness that I can't get out of, and I can't get up to go to work. I can't get up to serve my family when I know that there is a life or lives that are looking at me to be of service to them. Right. And so if we would remember that aspect of leadership, that as we become more selfless, we naturally begin attending more to other people. So we show more interest in them and we offer more care. We offer more care. We show more interest in them. And so this is not to be naive and to deny the fact that we will have down times in life, that we will have down moments, that we will go through things that we may struggle with and it may have us down. What I'm saying is that it's not The problem is not you being down, it's you staying down. And so it's no problem. The issue is not that you're there, it's how long that you stay there. And that's all we're trying to get you to see. And those of you that will watch and listen to this, is that you can get out of that place. And when you dig into your place of purpose, you'll realize that somebody is counting on you. Somebody is looking for you to be of service to them because they need what you have inside of you. Bro, talk about this selflessness as we move on and wrap this up, as we move on to compassion here in a moment. But talk about this selflessness as you've already really tapped into it. But do you have anything to add on that, bro?
Yeah. So you had mentioned something, and it was getting out of your own way to allow the natural flow of energy. It was
Yeah.
great. Wrote it down. So guys, understand, life's not all about you. I tell it to my kids all the time. We have to remind ourselves all the time. Like, life's just not about you. Sorry. And when you understand that, you'll actually be happier that life is not all about you. We all think that our company is going to fall when we leave. How many of us work so hard and we're like, look, when I leave, I don't even know what they're going to do, right? We all been there at one time, being young and stupid.
Right.
The reality is, as soon as you leave, they've pretty much replaced you and moved on like you've never even been there before.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've worked hard. I've added new products and done testing on things and moved up into a company and then left and kept in touch with people and like, oh yeah, so and so is, Bob is in your spot now. Moving on, right? I'm not that important. It's just how it is. I'm sorry. But here's the deal. The likelihood of you staying in that company or in that position or the title for your entire career is pretty much zero. Most people don't even stay in the same career field, much less the same company. And you're definitely not going to stay in the same position. So let's quit acting like we're unreplaceable. Let's quit trying to become unreplaceable. So many of us lead that way. And that's, we're going to do just enough to help the other guy, but not so much that they are better than me. Happens all the time.
Yeah,
man.
man.
I was seeking, I was in a company and I was I was relatively new, but I was working really hard. And I'd love to have moved up. Yes. And I did. But before that, I just wanted to learn everything. And I remember there was another associate who started about the same time as me and it had some opportunities to learn some things. And then I started catching up though and getting to become a part of some of her projects. And then I would notice though, as things would arise, like small issues, and I would say, hey, how did you resolve this last time? She would go off and say, well, let me get back to you and fix it. And then come back and say, hey, I fixed the problem. I didn't want her to fix the problem. I wanted her to teach me so I could therefore do it later. I wasn't trying to be better than her. I was just trying to be my best me. But her style was obviously that she was going to become the person, I was about to say the man or the woman, and that nobody could replace. Well, she eventually was replaced because nobody would follow her. And she never got into leadership at all in the company and eventually got pushed out of the company, which is very hard to get pushed out of this particular company. So quit trying to be unreplaceable. Try to build everyone else up. Allow them to lead. All choices don't need to flow through you. Make these people so amazing on your team that if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, they would certainly miss the heck out of you. But in the end, they say, hey, guys, it's going to be okay. We're going to be fine because John trained us and we're good to go. Yes, it stinks. And he was amazing and he helped you out and he helped you out and he helped you out. But we're going to be okay and move forward. Quit acting like everything stops at you. Only a leader with the most amazing self-image can be the team's best cheerleader. Because everyone else, when you're a leader and you will not, here's a test. If someone on your team gets recognized for something and you feel jealous or frustrated it wasn't you, you need to check up from the neck up because something is certainly wrong. And you're not as selfless as you think you are because you should be so happy. Actually, you should be putting them in a position to get that recognition that they deserve even more, and not that someone had to go and seek them out to give them the recognition. You should be pushing them there. You should be putting the light on these people who work so hard for you.
Some of you need a checkup from the neck up. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That is so good. There's only one of you. And as John said, we all can do a self-check of humility. That something happened to us today, I promise you, as he said, they will move on. We've both seen it, and we've seen it many times. And you can look at any arena, not just on the job level, but you can go to the highest office. You can go to the sports arena. You know, as much as everyone loved Michael Jordan has been retired for many years. And guess what? The NBA did not stop. You know, Peyton Manning's been retired for years. The NFL did not stop. Barack Obama is no longer the president. Donald Trump's no longer the president. The United States government did not stop. You know, it just, and the list goes on and on. And so no matter how you feel about a person or a group of people, all of us are replaceable. And when we come out of that selfish mentality, it'll help us to have compassion. And when we have compassion, that's just simply to having the ability to understand others' perspectives and to use that as a catalyst or a foundation for supportive action to support others. And so the more better I understand you, the better I can support you. And I think, bro, what we've confused is that we think that just because someone says that they understand you, that doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with everything that you're saying or that you're doing. I can understand you without agreeing with you, right? So we may have two different perspectives on whatever the issue may be. And I can still say, John, hey, man, I get it. I understand. I may not necessarily agree, or I may not necessarily even see it that way, but I can still support you and have thoughtfulness, have compassion towards you. And because I understand and have that compassion, I can support you in the mission that you're going after. And so when we have compassion in our organizations and in our leadership, this support that goes towards it drops down and it spills down to everyone else in the organization. You know, sometimes as leaders, people feel like we can be some of the most harsh people in the world because we see things from a bird's eye view or eagle-eyed view, and we look at them as birds or peasants, so we cannot have compassion. When the reality is the only way that you got to be a leader or a true leader is that you had to go through the valley. You had to go through the low places. You know, you may be on the mountain, but you had to go through the valley to get there. And so never forget your valley days. Never forget that you're only one step away from stepping off a cliff yourself. You know, all of us are only one step away from being mediocre or being never thought of again. You know, and so that should keep us in a place of compassion. And as we're talking about the mental aspects of leadership, one day you're going to want to have someone have compassion on you. You're going to have someone have compassion on you, whether that's in front of the company, whether it's in front of a crowd, or whether it's by yourself and you're just crying out inwardly, man, I wish somebody would just simply understand what I'm going through. I wish somebody would just simply hear me. I wish someone would simply understand my heart, you know. And so getting out of that funk, it has to do with that MSC, the mindfulness, the selflessness, and the compassion. Those of you that will watch this and listen to this, as John just talked about, some of you need to do a checkup from the neck up. You know, we talked about that leadership starts in the mind. And some of you need to do a review. You need to do an internal review of what's going on that's got me in this place that I feel low. What's got me in this place to where I cannot understand or I can have compassion to someone else that's feeling low. Because the reality is, again, you will want someone to have that compassion on you. John, do you have anything else to say, bro, as we wrap this up?
Last thing.
Yeah.
It's been a focus of mine because I've not always been very good at it, is to be better at seeing someone else's perspective.
Sure.
And I found the three things that have helped me the most is, number one, you have to have respect for the other person and their differences.
Yeah.
Number one. Two, you got to be willing to talk to them and just have conversation without you wanting to put your words in all the time. Just have a conversation, but with respect. And the last thing is read and listen to things on their perspective, like documentaries and so forth. I'm not saying change your thoughts because that's for you to understand. A man convinced against his will is still unconvinced. And so I'm not saying change your thoughts, but just listen. Be wise enough to be able to listen or watch something that someone is talking about, reading a book on something, and saying and filtering it through your brain as relevant, not relevant. I agree with it. I don't, with supporting material. Don't just not agree. So many people will not agree with something because even when the evidence is shown to them, because it's almost like that proves that they have thought wrong. Well, all that means is if you don't agree, is that you're just going to keep thinking wrong. So you can either say, well, I've been wrong for the last 5 years on this. Let's get it right. Or you can just keep being ignorant on a topic. I'm sorry. It's just how it is. And so, and the last thing is, if you're in a funk, like right now, today, the best advice I can tell you right now is to just go do something nice for somebody. Just go and be nice. Go give your neighbor some ice cream or something. Go just do something for somebody else. There's this old saying that says a dog on the hunt doesn't know he has fleas. And all it means is when you're going and putting your eyes on something else, you don't know all of your problems. I mean, you know them, but you're not thinking about them. It's not your biggest concern because you are now focused on a mission or on another person or on something else. So go and take your eyes off yourself, put them on someone, and you're not going to think about all of your problems. Go serve at a local, nonprofit. Go. I haven't done it in a while. I used to love serving for an organization called Shoes for the Shoeless. You go to a school, you fit kids who don't have nice shoes with brand new, properly fitted key shoes. It's a huge unmet need. Loved doing it. COVID has kind of changed how that works this year, but I'm hoping next year it's back to normal. And so just find something and go serve, and that'll make you feel so much better about yourself and do some good in the world. So,
Yeah, man, absolutely. You just said a whole lot. I don't want to take up a whole nother hour because
yeah, that's right.
there's nothing worse than there's no problem with you disagreeing with how I see things, but it's nothing worse than an uneducated stance that you haven't even tried to learn, discover, as you said. If you're not a reader, you can literally sit down on your couch and watch a documentary on Netflix on whatever the case or the issue may be, and try to understand, try to have that compassion. I won't go any further into that. That's a whole other episode, but there's nothing worse than that. And then make a conclusion from there once you're informed, right? And so let's do that as leaders. Let's be better. And as John said, go out and serve somebody else.
And if someone comes to you with wanting to understand more, have answers for them. Nothing drives me personally crazy when I say, hey, I never saw that perspective. I still don't see it. Explain to me more. And then they say, just go look it up. People tell me all the time. I'm like, no, I'm literally coming to you because I don't know. And I'm right. Go look it up. And I'm like, I want to strangle you. I mean, it drives me crazy because I already have my perspective. I'm trying to gain yours because I could be way off here. And they say, well, I mean, just go watch a video. Like, so anyways.
And it takes out the personal experience from that.
Yeah.
You can go Google it, and you can even go do, as I said, you can go watch a documentary. But if you're talking to someone that has lived or is currently living that experience, as you said, that person is more likely to be more open to what you are saying and receive, rather than just reading a Google that has no feeling attached to it, that has no personal touch attached to it. You don't really get the gist of what it is as if you were talking to that person yourself or that group of people.
And when you Google it, the problem is you will always find the answer that you're looking for.
Oh yeah,
so if you want to, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, but if I want to say he does not exist, I can Google it, and people will give me supporting evidence from their perspective. So
Sure.
you'll always find your answer regardless. But
Uh,
then if I want to say, prove me that Jesus walked the earth, I'll find that evidence as well,
right.
overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
And so I'm coming to somebody saying, you've been telling me this is right. And I'm essentially saying my perspective is wrong. Like, teach it to me. And then when someone says, basically doesn't give me any answers, it tells me they don't actually know. They're just going with the flow of what they've been watching either on social media, friends, the news, whatever. So,
Exactly.
anyways, we could talk about this all day.
Man, absolutely. Man, listen, our read of the month this month is if experience is such a good teacher, why do I keep repeating the course? This is a book I read a few years ago. Some of you are of that mindset. Well, in order for me to learn, I have to experience it. I can't learn from someone else telling me, hey, don't go that way, don't do this or don't do that, not realizing that you've experienced it and you still have not learned the lesson. And so please go out and check out this book, read this book. This is the read of the month this week. If experience is such a good teacher, why do I keep repeating the course? It's by J. Ellsworth Callis. Thank you for all those that will watch and listen to this. Do us a favor, those of you that will watch this and listen to this back, give us a review, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Those of you that will watch on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, leave us a review. Those of you that will watch on our social media platforms, if you're watching there on Facebook, you can hit that share button. That'll give us, that will expose our podcast to a whole nother audience that may not have been exposed to the Unscripted Authentic Leadership podcast. If you're watching there on Instagram, you see our stories, repost that, reshare that in your story, comment that. Even on LinkedIn, you can follow us there. And if you're streaming the platform, you're part of our listening audience and you want to give us feedback, you can always leave us a review, especially on those Apple podcasts and Spotify, Google. Those platforms allow you to leave a review. What it does, it allows the algorithms, just where we are in our social media environment, that the more something is liked, the more something that is engaged with, the algorithm will pick it up and it'll expose our platform to a greater audience of people so we can get this great message of being an authentic leader to the world. And again, we want you to check out our website. If you're there, if you want to engage with us, connect with us, or even be a guest on our podcast, you can connect with us there at unscripted-leadership.com. That is unscripted-leadership.com. This has been an amazing conversation. I promise you, we could have went for another hour, but we know that your attention span is not that long. Come back next week. We have another incredible conversation next Sunday that you cannot afford to miss. As always, we pray that you be the leader that God has called you to be. We are here to build bridges and not walls. Bridges connect and walls divide. Until next time, God bless you.